But Brandon, let's close out the podcast moving into the NBA draft. We are now, like I said, done with the NFL draft. The only draft we are focusing on now until June is the NBA draft. And today we are looking at a guy that I can say that for the longest time, I've just loved this kid's game. I loved what he brings to the table. I've come out and said some things about this prospect that some have not agreed with, basically saying that if he bulks up and kind of works on his game, he can bring the same things to the NBA that I see in an Anthony Davis in the NBA right now, and that is Mo Bamba. So what we're looking at, Brandon, is Mo Bamba. Right now he's slated as a top 10 pick. Some have him as a top 5 pick. I want to ask you, though, the simple question. When it comes to the big men in this draft, DeAndre Ayton, Jaren Jackson Jr., Marvin Bagley, Mo Bamba. Is Mo Bamba the best big man in this draft?
You know, I'm going to have to probably say no, but I think that he certainly has the potential to end up being the best one. He already is a guy that if you look at what he does defensively, can be one of the best defenders in the league. I mean, the guy can go up in space
4.4 blocks per game
to swat that ball away. And then he's also pulling down about 16 rebounds per game.
Yep.
So he is going to be a beast defensively. He runs the floor really well, light on his feet. He's really nimble defensively. That's what's going to make, I think, that part of his game is already really good. I think the reason why I can't say is he the best big man is because offensively is where there's the question mark for me. Offensively is where he could get better. A lot of times kind of looked at and scouted as having a flat kind of shot. And his mid-range jumper could get better. Is he going to be a three-point shooter in the league? A lot of people say no, that he's not going to be. He's not going to even turn out to be a three-point shooter, but could be a really good mid-range to, you know, right by the basket shooter. So defensively, solid. Probably an A. Offensively, probably a C+. So there's with potential to get better, but I think because of the offensive, you know, I don't want to say struggles, but I want to say that he's certainly not the best offensive big man in this draft class, which is why I don't think that you can say that he's the best big man in this draft class. A lot of people, and we have somebody, I believe, on the fast break that believes this, that Jaren Jackson Jr. is the best big man in this draft class.
I know Dave likes Triple J.
Everybody's going to have their own opinion, though, when it comes to it. Just like in the NFL, when everyone likes their own quarterback. Cleveland went Baker Mayfield, and the Jets were like, good, because we think we got the number one guy, and Sam Darnold.
Well, the Jets apparently wanted Baker, too. Everyone wanted Baker. Apparently, Baker's agent said the Patriots were going to trade up to number 2 to get Baker. But for me, when I look at it, is if I was drafting, let's say number 2, let's say number 1, Luka Doncic goes off the board, which on the NBA side, Suns hired their new head coach. It's going to be one of the assistants from the Utah Jazz. Everyone's thinking if they're a number 1 pick, he's a EuroLeague guy, Doncic is going to go. So great. So if I'm sitting there as a team at number 2 and I'm looking for a big man, to me, the debate in my head personally, and some aren't going to agree with this, because with all 4 of these big men, it's basically which one do you like the best. The general consensus is that DeAndre Ayton's the best big man. Then there's the next most popular would be like a Marvin Bagley. Then there's the Jaren Jackson crowd. Then there's the crowd that I would say I kind of lean in because I like Mo Bamba as a prospect and what he could be. I'm going to piss off the Marvin Bagley camp a little bit by saying this, but my decision would be between Ayton and Bamba of who I would take if I'm looking at strictly big men. And the reason why is kind of comparing all 4 of these guys. So I'm using, with all these stats, by the way, in the 4.4 blocks per game I threw out, these are stats per 36 minutes on the floor. So if you look at all four of them, the guy who's averaging the most per game, Marvin Bagley, 22 points. DeAndre Ayton's right behind him. The lowest, Mohamed Bamba. Then you look at rebounds, who's got the highest? Bamba at 12.6, Ayton right behind him. Who's got the lowest? Jaren Jackson. But then you look at the blocks. Jackson and Bamba lead that. Ayton and Bagley aren't really there. The shooting percentages are kind of low for Bamba. However, there's that video, and I know that it's like, how much stock do you want to take into this? There's a recent video of him working on a shot, how he mentioned during when he was on the jump on ESPN, how he's going away from like a catapult motion with the shot. And there's a clip of him just draining I think it's 9 threes in a row. And to me, I look at Mo Bamba and I go, all right, look at big men in this NBA right now. I mentioned Anthony Davis. He's one of them. You listen to that interview with Bamba on the jump, he mentions another one, Joel Embiid. Look at Kristaps Porzingis. Most of these guys are guys who can do it all now. They can do pretty much everything. And the one thing that I've hated in our comment sections whenever someone brings up Mo Bamba is that they kind of do what you did, but to a far, like, more, what's righteous isn't even the word I want to do. They go far into it, basically saying, Mo Bamba's a defensive player. He can't build around a defensive big. Get him out of here. That's the conception that I've seen with Mo Bamba. However, the way you were putting it is more of like, yeah, his offensive game might not be as polished as a DeAndre Ayton, as a Marvin Bagley, but potentially it could be there, and that's what he's kind of working for. Like, most people I've seen disregard the offense, look all defense. You were kind of saying, yeah, his defense is really good, but the offense can still be there. I'm not completely pushing it to the side. So for me, I would look Ayton and Bamba because Bamba brings so much. He not only can develop that offensive game, hit from outside, hit from down low, hit from mid-range, but defensively, he's also a monster down there. Like, in the quote that he's said in the past, like, he's a guy that can jump up and get to the top of the square on the backboard and block a shot. He can come across the rim and just stuff a shot, then get the ball, push it down the court, find a guy in the corner for a wide open three. That's a player I want. And yeah, Ayton, Bagley, maybe even Jaren Jackson, probably not Jaren Jackson. He's probably more in the Bamba camp, might be able to help me right now. Mo Bamba could be that guy I draft now, and he helps me 2-3 years down the line as my team matures into the team I want them to be.
So really quickly, want to go to the point that you made about him doing something different with his jumper and his shooting style. So like you said, it's like cocked back here.
Yeah,
and it's
how
a little,
he mentioned it like a catapult.
And it's a little to the side of his head when he's shooting it. So if he's kind of working on that and trying to develop something a little bit better that might be a little bit more effective.
Yeah.
That already could be helping his game.
I
That
mean,
could
look at Buddy
already
Hield.
be putting him in a different position. Yes, absolutely correct. I think another knock against him is that he's not going to be tough enough. He is 216 pounds.
He's got to bulk
He's
up.
not tough. Tough is not physical enough. He has got to get bigger. I mean, he's this big guy with a great wingspan and everything, but if people can blow you over when they breathe, that's not good. So I think that's another area that he's going to have to improve. He's going to have to get bigger. He's going to have to put on more muscle. He's going to have to be a physical presence down low offensively and defensively. Now, my question would be, why can you not, and again, this is coming from a guy who really is not an avid NBA watcher, why can you not build around a defensive big?
I have no idea.
Why can you not do that?
To me,
what would be the worst thing with 10 points and 15 rebounds consistently? What's wrong with that?
I don't have the answer for you for that question. Like, for me personally, the reason why I don't have that question is I've been on the camp of the thing I love most about Mo Bamba is what he brings defensively. And for me, it's, I guess a little bit of it is the type of NBA that we're in. Run and gun, pick and roll, all about the three right now. And do you want that big kind of being out there on the perimeter against certain teams, and now it's like everyone on the floor. Some teams, it's like positionless basketball almost, and it's all about who can score the most points, make the most threes, and win a game in the NBA. So that's why, for me, maybe the comment section can help you out with that one, because I'm on the same side of, like, I don't care that he's a defense, like his main that's not the word I'm looking for. Prowess is what I'm looking for. His main prowess is defense. I still really like Mo Bamba and would be probably my 1 or 2 for big men right now as we stand, which will be interesting because in 2 weeks we will do a big board in 3 weeks. The Fast Break is going to do a mock draft in 2 weeks, so we'll see what happens with that. But the thing that I look at with all these big men is when it comes to points per game and the stats and stuff, look at their teams too, to where per 36, the only three, or the only one I should say, that wasn't averaging a double-double was Jaren Jackson Jr. But you have Ayton and Bamba having the highest rebounds at about 12.6 and 12.4, Bamba being the higher. The only thing Bamba didn't have was he only had 15.4 points. But when you look at it, DeAndre Ayton was the main option on his team, and the reason why he had so many rebounds was he had guys like Trier and Elkins who would shoot the ball. He could then tip it in. But he was the main scoring option on his team. That's why he's getting 20-some points a night. Then you look at the Duke Blue Devils with Marvin Bagley. The thing I will say, I should be making the claim that, oh, Marvin Bagley shouldn't have 21 points because of how stacked Duke's roster was. But he was the go-to guy on that Duke roster that was basically, it had 5 starters that are going to be in this NBA draft, so you can't really just focus on Marvin Bagley, because then Wendell Carter will kill you, Grayson Allen will kill you, Gary Trent, and the list goes on, Trayvon Duval. Then you look at Michigan State. Michigan State, Jaren Jackson wasn't the guy, and this is the first one that's kind of clear. Miles Bridges was the guy, then you had Winston was right behind him. Jaren Jackson was not asked to be a scoring option on that Spartan team. He was asked to do what he does best, and that's defensive. And then you've got Texas, where Mo Bamba, again, was not a main scoring option, and they had probably the most scoring options and were probably the team that didn't have, they had Andrew Jones, who had the most points, but he was only 0.1 per game, better than the next guy below him and Dylan Osterkowski. So they were the most spread out, and they had, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys in double figures last year? So, like, to me, I don't look at that 15 points in the 36 per minute and go, oh, well, that's bad. He's only averaging 15 per game. Actually, he only averaged 12 per game this past year. I don't look at that and go, it's a bad thing, because with all these guys, it's about what team they were on, too.
Yeah.
And a guy like Bagley, a guy like Ayton, they were the main guy on their team, so they got more opportunities with it than a Bamba or a Jackson.
The thing that I'm always going to look at and remember with Mo Bamba is the fact that when he fouled out in the Duke game and things were looking up for Texas,
Bagley went to
he
town.
fouls out and Bagley goes to town in overtime.
Osterkowski had
Texas
no chance.
Loses. The next game, the Nevada game in the tournament, again, fouls out. Things were looking up for Texas. All of a sudden, things shift in favor of the Wolfpack, and the Wolfpack goes on to win. So what that says to me is that Mo Bamba, no, maybe it wasn't necessarily on the offensive side of things, but defensively, without him, that's the reason they lost. I mean, I thought it was pretty clear in my mind, certainly watching the Wolfpack game, because I actually got to watch that game live. I had to go back and watch the other one.
Even the Duke one, it was like Bagley, Bamba on Bagley, it's like, okay, Texas can win this. As soon as Bagley went out, Duke was like, oh, he's not down there? To Bagley, dunk, Bagley, dunk, Bagley,
but again,
dunk.
that, like, Bamba not being in there, that was the reason.
Exactly.
So he is a playmaker. He is a playmaker. That is the type of guy that you certainly want to have on your team. And again, no, he's not going to be the leading offensive scorer, because he hasn't been. He was really never called on to be that, but he certainly was called on to be a playmaker. And if you want a playmaker, when you talk about the NBA, he's a guy you definitely want to go with. Now, is there a very good reason why DeAndre Ayton's most likely going to be the number 1 pick? Yeah, because when you look at him, he's pretty balanced both offensively and defensively. Whereas with Bamba, you're getting a whole lot of defense and you're getting some offense.
Yeah.
But that's why I think that I can't say that he's the best big man. Again, I can't say it right now, but when you go to the NBA and you look 3 years down the line and he's developed and his jump shot is better, the shot isn't as flat anymore. He's put on some I don't want to say weight, but he's added some pounds of muscle. Maybe we're having a different conversation at that point. But I think right now he's still a solid option.
Here's the thing I'm looking at, and to answer this question, really, there's no right or wrong answer. The right or wrong answer comes years down the line when we see these guys' careers and how it all plays out. But for right now, it all depends on how you feel. For me, if I was a team, and I know some people in the NBA sphere disagree with me. I know Dave's the one that on the fast break doesn't see the same way I do. I will look at it and go, if I can see your potential and what you will be 3 years down the line, I will draft you if I think I can bring that out of you. Rather than the guy that, all right, you're the best right now, I'm going to take you right now. Because I'm more the guy that I might not want you to be the best right now, but will you be the best 2-3 years down the line? That's kind of the mindset I go to. And just to look back at recent drafts, and we'll see if this goes up. The last one, Jason Tatum right now kind of balling it out for the Celtics. Some would say Celtics won the draft. However, 2-3 years, 4 years down the line, let's see what Markelle Fultz, what Lonzo Ball are doing. Because right now, Markelle Fultz, bit of the yips, didn't play this year, looked really good when he did. Then you got Lonzo, who this year wasn't the best year for him. Both of those went above him. 2016, Jaylen Brown playing really well, probably not the best example, but the one that I'll use is a Dragon Bender, overseas guy. The Suns get him. He isn't doing anything, but then you look down the line, and a guy like Domantas Sabonis, who went 11 out of Gonzaga, he's contributing right now. He was on an Indiana playoff team and was actually playing well against the best player in the entire sport in LeBron James. So it's like, to me, I look at, I don't want you for what you're going to do right now, your rookie year, because your rookie year is not going to be the year that I look back on your career as. And for me, Mo Bamba, I see something special in this kid. I see something to where it's one of those, like, he threw out the word unicorn in his jump interview. I see something. It's one of those where it's not necessarily like, whoa, once in a generational type athlete. It's not like that big, but it's like, all right, he's got the potential to be a Joel Embiid to a team, to be an Anthony Davis to a team, to be that kind of player. Yeah, will he need other players around him? Of course. Basketball's a team sport. You can't do it all on yourself. Look at the Cavs. Look at LeBron. The best player in the league will get you to the finals. Best team usually wins out. In the year that the Cavs won it, they were the best team because Kyrie helped LeBron and hit the shot. They were a better team than the Warriors were. They were also missing Draymond Green for a game that would have closed out that series a lot sooner. But with Mo Bamba, getting back to him, I would say right now he is not my bet. Like, if you're drafting as right now, he's not the best big man. But if we're going off of potential, which is how I see it, he is the best big man. Because I think that 3-4 years down the line, we're looking back at this draft class and going, all right, Bagley and Ayton are good. Jaren Jackson's pretty good. God, but Mo Bamba. Man, my team should have drafted. Like, he'll probably go low top 10, like 8, 9, 10. And every team in the top 7 will go, man, I wish my team would have drafted him. Except for like maybe Luka or like maybe DeAndre Ayton. But it's like most of them will be like, holy crap, we should have, like, how did Mo Bamba fall past 7 teams. That's what I think we're going to get to. Kind of like Joel Embiid. He goes 3, and it's like, why did the Lakers not take him at 2? Why did they go D'Angelo Russell? Same kind of thing. That's what I think we'll look at with Mo Bamba.
Again, it's tough to be able to predict.
It's impossible.
3 years into the future.
Because we don't know what injuries players are going to have either, if any.
And Mo Bamba is one that that's one thing that you have to watch a little bit with him is someone who kind of can get injured easily, and was injured this past year for a little bit, for a short spell. But I still think that there's a whole lot that DeAndre Ayton offers, and I don't think that just goes away. I don't think that DeAndre Ayton's going to get worse when he goes to the NBA. I'm not
saying like a Bagley or that are going to regress.
No, and I know you're not saying that, but what I'm saying is that I think that they're already above where Mo Bamba is at as a complete player. Certainly when you talk about Ayton, I think Ayton's has put himself pretty far up there.
He's either going to be 1 or 2, let's be honest.
But Bamba, to me, looking more at him, I am very, very impressed and intrigued by his defensive play. I think that should mean a lot for a team because you can always have him on the floor. And I think offensively, if it can come along, he will be a very valuable asset for your team. Again, a guy who's given you 10, 15, and 5 in terms of blocks on a night, averaging, a double-double with, the potential for 10 blocks in a game. I mean, that's not bad to me. That's not bad to me. So that's where Mo Bamba is good, but he can get better. Whereas you are right. I think that I don't want to say that like someone like a DeAndre Ayton has hit their cap or their ceiling, but there's more room to grow for a guy like Bamba. But there's also then the fear, will he get there? Does he ever get to the point that we all believe he can get to? Because how many times has that happened?
It's how high is that potential ceiling? Can I get him there, and will he ever get there? Are the 3 questions. And just to put it in a little bit of perspective, the last big board that you and I did, the way that our big men kind of ranked out between these guys, and I know for sure mine are going to change. Yours was DeAndre Ayton, the first big man, Marvin Bagley, number 2. You actually had a guy at number 3 that neither of us have brought up this segment, and Wendell Carter Jr. was your, Mo Bamba was your 3, Wendell Carter Jr. was your 4, and then Jaren Jackson was your 5th big man, whereas I had Ayton as the best big man, Marvin Bagley as the 2nd big man, Jaren Jackson Jr. as the 3rd big man, then Mo Bamba, then Wendell Carter is my next one. Yeah, Wendell Carter would be my 5th one. So a little bit of shaking. I know for sure Mo Bamba is going to be in the top 3 when it comes to big men. Like Ayton, Bagley, and at least Bamba will be my top 3 unless something catastrophically happens at the NBA Combine. Any final thoughts you want to make before we wrap this thing up?
No.
This is where we turn on to you guys. What do you guys think down below about Mo Bamba? And the thing is, I think he's a guy that can go as high as 4. He'll go to like 8. That's his range in draft-wise. But coming up for the NBA draft, Fast Break is going to have our next mock draft. That'll be coming to you. We're recording that May 16th, which will be the day after the lottery. That's just going to be a lottery mock draft. And then our next big board here on the Primetime Podcast, our last one, will be May 21st. Is the last day the day we will record that. So May 22nd is when that one will be coming out to you. Want to thank you guys for checking out the Primetime Podcast today. Make sure to hit us up on Patreon if you want to help support the channel and come on a podcast for helping to support the channel. Go get yourself an MVP t-shirt. That link down below in the description. MostValuablePodcast.com is where you catch MVP each and every day. And last but not least, if you're on Apple Podcast or iTunes, got it right this time, make sure to give the Primetime Podcast a 5-star rating. Want to thank you guys for watching on YouTube. Want to thank you guys for listening on podcast services around the world. And as always, have a good day, everybody.